The first porn star was a woman named Sarah Bartman. Sarah Bartman was the very first porn star. Before you had the Hugh Hefner, before you had this global billion-dollar industry known as the porn industry, you had the very first porn star. Before you had the tree and the leaves and the branches, there was a seed first. Before there was a base, a trunk, a leaf, a branch, before it was a tree, there was a seed. So before there was this global billion-dollar industry, before there was this huge, massive tree of a web of pornography, there was a seed first, and that seed was Sarah Bartman. So, somewhere in the 1600s, 1700s, this is back when they still like worship the black woman as goddess. They still seen her in her natural essence. So, um, there was this black woman, and they came and they took her from her home. They came and they took her from her home because they seen her. They seen her all throughout the land. They seen her, when she was walking about and going about. They was like, whoa. This when they, they've always had a fetish for black women, because they remember who we are, even in our natural essence. So this is when they still like seeing a black woman as goddess. This when they still worship us that, because we was in all our glory. They weren't walking around with the weave in their hair. They weren't walking around, getting injections in they butt. I'm talking about our goddesses had the natural robust and the natural robust, So, there wasn't they didn't have weave in their hair. They still had they had their natural ether out, big afros, big natural ether flowing from their hair, they crown. So they was seeing her going about. They never seen a black woman like this. Like they all had the natural busting, but this one was just in particularly, one day it just stood out to them. So they seen her, and they was watching her for a long time, for a while. And so one day they broke into her home. Her family, they was all eating dinner. They broke into her home. They snatched her out. They took her somewhere. When they snatched her out, they killed her whole family. They killed her daughter, her son, and her husband. And so they took her and they kidnapped her and they took her to this place. They blindfolded her, put a bag over her head. When they got there, they took the bag off her head and she was in this box. They placed her in this display box, in this case, like a huge glass case. And they made her take off her clothes. They made her take off all her clothes. They took off her clothes. She took off her clothes. And for months on end, they made her dance for people. They would call these white men, they would call all kind of friends and groups of people over, all kind of important people, rich people, and they would get together and conglomerate in this group, and they would throw dollars at her. They would throw money at her, throw dollars at her, 20s, 50s, whatever, and they would make her dance for them. And she had natural busting. This is when they called the butt the gluteus maximus. She had a huge gluteus maximus. They didn't call it an ass or a butt. They called it a gluteus maximus. She had natural robust boobs, real big boobs, real natural robust butt. And this is what drew them to her. So they glorified her, they worshipped her, but they did it in a sadistic way, in a way that was degrading to her, and they forced her to do it for months and months and months on end. And they made her made her dance for people, and these sick white perverts, they would throw dollars at her, throw 20s at her, like they would get drunk and have a feast and hey yeah, whoa, throw dollars at her, yeah, shake that gluteus maximus,